What major historical monument was once nearly dismantled and sold for scrap?
And what question can you never answer yes to?
Answers to those and other questions, hopefully, coming up in this half hour of The Off-Ramp with Bob
And Marcia
Smith. Welcome to The Off-Ramp, a chance to slow down, steer clear of crazy, take a side road to sanity, and enjoy a new perspective on life. Well, Marcia, I have an interesting story here, that there was a major historical monument that you know of and almost everybody in the world knows of that was once nearly dismantled and sold for scrap.
Indeed.
What building was nearly dismantled and sold for scrap?
Let's narrow it down, Bob.
It's in Asia. Southern Asia.
I've never been there.
Oh, well, you've seen pictures, Marsh.
Okay, it's not the Great Wall of China. It's not the, I don't know.
The Taj Mahal.
Oh, really?
Yeah. At one point in 1835, when the Taj Mahal and all of India were under control of the British East India Company, that business, under the rule of Lord William Bentinck, decided to dismantle the monument and auction off its marble to reduce expenses for the company.
Jeez Louise.
Now, that complex was built between 1632 and 1653. It's a mausoleum. And 200 years later, a bathhouse on the property that was under disrepair was dismantled and the marble was auctioned off. That was supposedly a test run to take the whole complex down. But the sale didn't go too well. They couldn't get the price they wanted for the materials back in England. So they decided to forget that.
I didn't know that the Taj Mahal is a mausoleum. Is that right?
It was built by an emperor as a mausoleum to his wife, who died in childbirth, and then it eventually had his tomb as well.
Okay, but it's not a lot of people, just one family?
Two people essentially, but 20,000 people built it.
Oh, jeez. Well, okay, that sounds fair. So they would have, if they had succeeded in selling that, they would have had to figure out what to do with the ashes.
I don't think that was a concern for the British East India Company. I don't think they cared about that.
Okay, well, you're right. I wouldn't have guessed the Taj Mahal.
Now, that incident was shrouded in myth, with many British authorities denying it ever happened. But in 2005, the Archaeological Survey of India cited this incident in a case before the Indian Supreme Court. So it really did happen. And that was just one of many abuses by the East India Company. It was chartered by the Crown in 1600, and it controlled India from 1803 until 1858, when, after a mutiny, the Parliament took over the company and dismantled it.
Wow. All right. I got a riddle for you.
Okay.
All right. I do like riddles. Okay, Bob, what question can you never answer yes to?
This just sounds so loaded, and from my experience with women in the past, I even hesitate to suggest what the answer may be.
It's a riddle, so it's something nobody, man or woman, can answer yes to.
Yeah, it's a gotcha question.
Yeah, it's a...
Okay, what's the question, Marcia?
The question is, are you asleep yet?
Okay, that's true. You can't answer yes to that, can you?
No, I snorted. I'm sorry.
That's it, huh?
Yeah, save the fascinating stuff for you, and I just get right to the quickies.
Although, how many times have you been asked that question, though? Are you asleep yet? I mean, people ask that question all the time. It seems so stupid to ask that question. All right, I've got one for you. What American university stretches across 4 time zones?
American University?
An American university. It's a college, 4 time zones. It's got campuses in 4 time zones.
Okay, that's what I was going to say. It's obviously...
And even before the web, it was in 4 time zones.
Okay. I'll say, is it a military university?
No, it's not.
No? Okay. And I don't think it's Harvard or Yale.
No, it's not.
No.
Just think of the biggest state we have.
Texas.
No. The biggest state.
Alaska.
Alaska. It's the University of Alaska, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it stretches across 4 time zones from the community college in Ketchikan near Alaska's southeastern border with Canada to a small learning center on Adak in the Aleutian Islands. That's a distance similar to the one between London and Moscow. And it's in one state.
Well, you had me there,
So
Paul.
the University of Alaska stretches across 4 time zones.
Okay, if I had thought about that long enough, which I never do, I might have come up with that.
Are you asleep yet? Are you asleep yet?
Okay, Bob. According to U.S. News Magazine, the U.S. ranks number 6 on the promiscuity list for all the major nations.
The promiscuity list?
Can you name any of the top 5?
Well, wait a minute. What do they mean by promiscuity? What is that?
You know, futzing around with more than one person.
Oh, so this is sex with more than one partner.
Yes. Yes. Okay,
So we're number what?
6.
6. So there are 5 countries ahead of us on this.
In the major nation category.
We got to work harder at this one.
I think so.
What's wrong with us?
Yeah, these surprised me.
Well, I don't know. I would have no idea who would be considered more promiscuous and open in society than us. But
I would have gone for Sweden, blah, blah. Okay. Number 5, we'll go backwards, is Australia. That's an island. What do you expect? Number 4, the Czech Republic.
Really?
Yeah. Who would have guessed? Number 3, the Netherlands. Number 2, the Germans.
No kidding.
Yes. And number 1, this surprised me, the United Kingdom.
So Great Britain is the most promiscuous nation in the world?
Those uptight bowler types have a lot going on there. Still waters, Bob. Still waters.
Wow. I never would have thought Great Britain would be the most promiscuous nation. Huh. Did you know this? What word that we use in referring to education originally meant leisure?
Say again.
What word that we use in referring to education originally meant leisure? As somebody who didn't like this particular institution, you'll be surprised when you were growing up.
Oh, yeah?
You did not like to be in
study hall.
School.
No. School.
It comes from the Greek word schole, which means leisure. Why?
Why?
Because the Greeks felt that learning was a purely leisure time activity reserved only for the upper classes or better people who deserved the time to think.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that?
I wish it were thought of as such a lofty thing now.
What, education?
Yeah. People take it for granted now.
Oh, yeah, people do take it for granted.
Yeah.
But school originally meant leisure.
I'll be danged. All right. Okay, in the past, Bob, we've had some tables and chairs built in the Queen Anne style, which is kind of curvy legs and so forth. Why were those pieces considered Queen Anne style?
You know, I always wondered about that, and I thought maybe did she have hair that was wavy or something like that?
That's a good guess, but no.
Or dresses or something?
Wrong end of her body.
Oh,
she was
really?
bow-legged.
Oh, you're kidding. So the legs on the tables and the chairs represent a bow-legged person?
A bow-legged queen.
I had no idea.
No, me either. I thought that was sad, but funny.
Sad and rather cruel, actually, don't you think?
Yeah, I wonder if she was alive when that term came around.
Wow. The Queen Anne style, a bow-legged woman.
Yeah.
Jeez. That's, again, another misogynistic kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, you betcha.
Why did the Chinese set up the first universities? This got some school questions here.
Yeah. Well,
what were they studying?
They had lots of leisure. Why did they set up universities?
Yeah, what were they set up for? What were they set up to teach?
Probably the dynasties.
Something about the history.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think that, or engineering.
Yeah.
No, they gave instruction to students in literature. The purpose was to prepare youngsters for a civil service exams. Now, this was 2,000 years before Christ.
Well, oh, my God. Before Christ?
Yeah.
2000 BC?
Yeah, the first universities set up to study literature in China. I thought that was pretty interesting.
That is. I had no idea.
Okay, I have a question for you. Now, we all know crocodiles and alligators, very similar kinds of animals in our minds, right?
Yes.
There are many species of crocodiles, but there are only 2 countries in the world where there are alligators. What are those 2 countries?
America.
Yeah, United States.
And I'll say along the Amazon.
Brazil?
South America.
Brazil is wrong.
You love that. Such gusto you say that with.
No, there are many species of crocodiles all over the world, but only 2 species of alligators left, and one is the American alligator. The other is the Chinese.
Really?
Yeah, they're the only 2 countries where you find them living naturally. American alligators live throughout the South. They can grow up to 11 feet long or longer, while Chinese alligators can only grow to about 5 feet in length, and they're found in a small area around the Yangtze River Basin.
Yeah.
Now, there's only one place in the world where you will find alligators and crocodiles together.
Everglades.
The south tip of Florida.
Yeah,
It's the only place they're together. They don't really overlap very much. Quite interesting.
Yeah, quite ugly, too.
Yeah. Man, if you look at a map of the United States where you find alligators, man, you start in East Texas and go all the way through North Carolina, all the states down there. That whole area is full of alligators. And then parts of Arkansas and Oklahoma have alligators as well.
Jeez, which is why you never want to take a walk down by the river.
But again, at the southern tip of Florida, that's the only place on earth where you'll find both alligators and crocodiles.
That's very surprising to me. Okay, Bob, Mr. Presidential History Man, you'll probably guess this right away. What president gave all his political earnings over the course of 40 years to charity, including his wages and pension?
40 years he was in office?
Different political
political. Well, John Kennedy did that with his.
He did?
Yeah, he gave his presidential salary up.
That was nice.
But was this FDR?
No.
Who was it?
Herbert Hoover.
No kidding.
Yeah, he was independently wealthy and had been a financier.
Well, I knew that Herbert Hoover was, he was a famous man. In fact, Herbert Hoover was in charge, I think I've mentioned this before, when World War I had ended and all the nations of Europe were in dire straits. He was the man who headed up the plan for the Allies to feed Europe, just like the Marshall Plan in World War II. Herbert Hoover did that. So he was very well known. He was a very interesting man and not a good president, but a very brilliant engineer. He wrote books, wealthy.
Yeah, very wealthy.
Just couldn't run a country, apparently.
Okay. Go ahead. You got one?
I've got some questions on states today.
Oh, yay.
I thought they'd be kind of fun. What European capital was New York City originally named after?
York.
No, originally. Original name wasn't New York.
No, it was. What was it?
It was still new. It was New something, but not
New Brunswick. That's up in Canada, right? I've seen it, I've read it, and I forgot it.
It's New Amsterdam.
That's it.
Yeah, it was named after the Dutch because that was a Dutch colony originally.
Okay.
But then in 1664, an English naval squadron came in and they took over and it became New York. Okay, one more question. What state's name means Great River in the Ojibwe language?
Ojibwe. Great River.
Great River.
Oregon?
Nope.
Wisconsin? No. Pennsylvania?
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Yeah, the root of the word Mississippi begins with Mississippi,
Alabama?
a French interpretation of the Native American term Mississippi, Missizziibi, which translates into Great River.
Huh.
Well, let's take a break and we'll be back in just a moment.
Okay.
You're listening to The Off-Ramp with Bob
and Marcia
Smith. Okay, we're back with The Off-Ramp, Bob and Marcia Smith. Okay, now here's another university question. Okay. What great university was founded because a king quarreled with a saint?
A saint?
Yes.
Oh, dear.
A person who was later turned into a saint.
Okay.
Yes.
King argued with a saint, and they got what? They got a university out of it?
What great university was founded because a king quarreled with a saint?
Okay, well, and where's
this is English history.
Is it Oxford?
That's exactly right.
Aha.
Yeah, Oxford in England. Henry II feuded with Archbishop Thomas Becket, and when the King of France defended Becket, Henry was incensed, so he ordered all the English students home from the University of Paris.
Oh, really?
That was one of the first universities in the world, was the University of Paris, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Most of those students settled at Oxford, and they decided to start a university of their own. So that goes way, way back over 1,000 years ago.
So Oxford was one of the first universities in the world.
Yes.
Wow.
But the University of Paris was before that, and I think there was one in Italy before that as well.
Higher learning.
Yeah.
Well, I'd be curious to know what was the very first university.
We'll get to that later.
Oh, really? Oh, sure. Another question I don't know.
Not today, but we'll get to that. I've got that answer.
Okay, go ahead.
I do have another question on India.
Okay.
Okay. What government policy led ancient doctors in India to pioneer a form of plastic surgery? What government policy led ancient doctors in India to pioneer a form of plastic surgery?
Oh, something about maybe some kind of disfigurement?
That's exactly right. It was mutilation of the noses. That was actually a official punishment for offenses like adultery.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
And doctors in ancient India became skilled at creating new noses for people whose real noses had been mutilated.
Oh.
Isn't that interesting?
Oh.
They would cut triangular pieces of skin from the patient's forehead and sew the graft in place, and the patient breathed through reeds placed in the nostrils.
Oh.
So that was very early plastic surgery, and the Indian doctors pioneered it because of a government policy of the official punishment for adultery.
Wow, nose jobs have been around a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one. Why is an enlisted army man called a GI?
Government issue.
Oh.
That was the term that was used for materials primarily.
Yes, because Army men and women wear government issue uniforms, and the abbreviation sprung up as a catchphrase after World War I. Originally, it was a reference to the impersonality of the Army, and it was an expression of contempt for government property.
I'm just a government issue.
Yeah. Yeah, but then it just became GI, you know.
And that wasn't negative when it eventually became GI.
Right. World War I it was. By World War II, they were proud.
Okay, I have a multiple choice question for you. Okay?
Okay.
This is an interesting site called Travel Trivia, and they have a lot of interesting stuff. And this is a question: what does the African dung beetle use to navigate at night?
Dung.
No. Now, I've given you a multiple choice. You want to know the answers?
Yes, please.
It could be the scent of food, the Milky Way galaxy, their tongues, or elevation.
Their tongues.
Their tongues are used. That's how they navigate at night.
Yes.
No, believe it or not, it's the Milky Way. It's the Milky Way.
Give me a break. Why?
No.
How does that work?
They are the only non-human creatures known to navigate using the Milky Way galaxy, and scientists tested their navigational abilities in an experiment where certain beetles had to wear hats that blocked the stars, while others wore clear hats. Well, the dung beetles that could see the stars got where they needed to go.
And who made the hats?
I don't know. It's a tiny little hat.
I mean, imagine getting that job. Okay, your job, Jim, is to make little hats for the dung beetle.
Just so you know, dung beetles are considered some of the strongest known insects in the world.
Really?
Capable of moving up to 50 times their body weight.
Wow.
This is from National Geographic.
Okay, Bob. You're not only a presidential aficionado, you are a beetle aficionado.
I'm a fan, yeah.
Do you know the name of the band Ringo Starr left to join the Beatles?
Yes, Rory Storm and the Hurricanes.
Oh, for God's sake. I mean it, really. I thought for sure you wouldn't have a clue. And this, when I found it, it had 3 different choices.
Oh, really?
And
okay.
just to get you this one,
No,
I didn't give you multiple choice.
I remembered that because there were a lot of funny British band names with, Ferocious this and all of that, and Rory Storm and the Hurricanes. You can't forget that.
Okay.
What was the original name of the Beatles that John Lennon had? What was the original name of the group?
You're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
I do not.
Before they were the Beatles, they were the
Journeymen.
Quarrymen, then the Silver Beatles. Journeymen, that sounds like a 50s group or something.
I think
a folk group, probably.
I think
working
it
their
was.
way across the country.
So they were the Silver Beatles?
Mm-hmm.
What made them get rid of the silver?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right. Which state's capital has the longest name? Which U.S. state capital has the longest name?
Tallahassee?
Now, that's what I would have thought. I would have thought it was Tallahassee.
But it's not.
I might have thought it was Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I might have thought it was Salt Lake City or Oklahoma City, but no. If you count the number of letters, Jefferson City, Missouri, is the longest with 13 letters.
Okay.
And guess who laid out Jefferson City, Missouri? Daniel Boone.
Really?
Yeah. He laid it out. It was named after the 3rd president and co-author of the Declaration of Independence, Thomas Jefferson, but Jefferson City, Missouri is longer in spelling than Tallahassee, Florida.
Well, if you include the city,
Well, it's part of its name.
Yeah, okay.
Jefferson City.
Okay, I'll go along with it, Bob.
Okay, glad you finally go along with that.
Okay, all right. Here's one more Beetle question.
Okay.
Can you name any of the top 3 Beatles songs that John Lennon hated the most?
Obla-dee, obla-da might be one. They all hated that because...
Did they?
Paul made them do that over and over and over again.
Obla-dee, obla-da.
No, I don't know. What words did he hate?
This one I don't know. Run for Your Life?
Oh, really? Okay.
How does that go?
Well, that was his song, too, I believe. You better run for your life if you can, little girl. Hide your head in the sand, little girl.
Okay. And the other 2 I know. Lovely.
Catch you with another man, little girl. It's a real misogynistic kind of song.
Okay. Because of the little?
No, just talking about the woman like he owned her or something.
I see.
I think Yoko caused him to realize how ugly that song was.
Oh, all right. Lovely Rita?
Oh, he didn't like that, huh? Lovely Rita Meter Maid.
And When I'm 64, that was Paul, wasn't it?
He didn't like that because he said that was Paul's old lady music or old... I think they called it granny music.
Boy, he hated Paul's love songs and his granny music.
And Paul wrote that when he was 14 years old.
Oh, that's, will you still need me?
Yeah.
Will you still please? That's cute. I didn't know that. I didn't know he was 14.
Granny music, yeah.
Yeah, so you didn't get any. Okay, go ahead.
What?
Your turn.
Okay, you might find this interesting. Which state capital has the highest elevation?
Denver.
That's what I would have thought, too. The Mile High City, Denver, right? 5,280 feet above.
No, okay.
No, it's not.
Is it in Alaska?
No.
Okay.
The choices were Juneau, Alaska, Denver, Colorado, Sacramento, California, and Santa Fe, New Mexico.
All right, I'll say Sacramento.
No.
So I got all 3 of them wrong. Out of 4.
3 out of 4 wrong. No. No, sorry, Marcia. It is, believe it or not, Santa Fe.
I've been to Santa Fe. I didn't feel high.
I know. I thought that was strange, too. But it is 7,198 feet above sea level. And it lies in the Sangre de Cristo foothills of the Southern Rockies.
Have you ever been there?
Oh, yeah, I've been there.
I like it there.
It's also one of the oldest cities in North America.
Yeah.
It was founded between 1607 and 1610, which makes it the oldest capital city. And, of course, features all that beautiful Pueblo architecture. But, yeah, it is 7,198 feet above sea level. So move over Mile High City.
I'll be danged.
Santa Fe is the state capital with the highest elevation.
I had no idea.
I was surprised at that, too. Well, sometimes it's good to see where is the youngest and the oldest thing in your universe. So I'm going to ask you this, Marcia.
All right.
Where is the oldest continually standing wooden structure in the United States?
It's a structure. It's not like the tree in California, the redwood.
It's a wooden structure, something built by human beings, Marcia.
Okay.
What, were those trees built by human beings?
No, God did it.
All right. Okay, so where is the oldest continually standing...
Is it in St. Augustine, Florida?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Good answer, but that's not the answer I'm looking for.
Fine.
It's called the Fairbanks House, and it was a home of a family in Dedham, Massachusetts for 260 years. It's the oldest timber-framed structure in the U.S. It's a museum. You can go into it. And the family was from Yorkshire, England, Jonathan and Grace Fairbanks and their 6 children, and then they expanded it and added a workshop and wings as their family grew, and it served 8 generations.
Yes, I bet you'd like to go visit it.
I would like to.
Yeah, let me know how it is.
What? So it's a museum listed on the National Register of Historic Places, built in 1637.
1637,
Yeah.
That still stands. Okay. Well, as we all know, Lyndon Baines Johnson loved his initials.
Yes, he did.
Can you name the other 4 LBJs in the family?
What? The other 4 LBJs? Mm-hmm. You mean people?
Yeah.
Well, there's Lady Bird Johnson.
Correct.
Linda Baines Johnson.
It was actually Linda Bird Johnson.
Linda Bird Johnson, okay.
And
I don't know.
Lucy.
Lucy Baines Johnson.
Right. So who's the 4th, you say? Little Beagle Johnson.
A dog. That was the other LBJ?
Yeah, the one he lifted up by the ears all the time. That was
dear.
LBJ, Little Beagle Johnson.
Oh, that's terrible. That's so funny. Okay. I've got one for you. Do you know that there is an African city that's famous for its penguin population?
What city?
An African city.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I always think of penguins and I'm thinking of the Arctic or something, right?
Yes.
But Cape Town.
Where did they come from?
Well, there's an indigenous penguin population. The African penguin likes to soak up the sun, and it's the only species of penguin that lives in Africa. It's known for its distinctive braying sound. There are more than 3,000 of them that can be found at Boulders Beach in Cape Town. Must be a very noisy place. Never thought of penguins coming from Africa, but Cape Town, South Africa, that's where there are a whole bunch of them. I've got one for you. What state capital features a full-scale replica of the Parthenon? The Greek Parthenon.
It's not a capital?
The city is a capital.
Oh, okay.
But it has a full-scale replica of the Parthenon.
Athens, Georgia?
No,
Okay.
that makes sense. Athens, Georgia, yeah. But no, it's not. Nashville.
Really?
Nashville, Tennessee. It's a replica that was built in 1897 for the Tennessee Centennial Exposition and was intended to be a temporary exhibit, but they were kind of calling Nashville the Athens of the South at the time.
Oh.
And that was so popular, it was restored several times. It's now an art museum and a venue for city events.
Huh. That's probably very cool as an art center.
Yes, yes.
Do you remember Spanish dictator Generalissimo Franco, Bob?
Oh, yes, Francisco Franco.
He's still dead, right?
Yes, we were talking about that the other day. Just to give people an idea what that means, you have to explain it. You can't just say that.
Well, it was a running gag on Saturday Night Live.
The year he was dying, every day there were more bulletins on the TV news about his condition, and it went on and on. So the Saturday Night Live did a gag after that as soon as he passed away.
Uh-huh.
And they said, this just in, Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead.
Yeah, and we all laughed every time.
And the only reason people laughed about that was because Franco was a dictator who had a bad reputation.
He
Otherwise,
was not a
nobody
nice
would have
man.
done that. Right.
But he had a funny deathbed quote.
Oh, really? He did?
Yeah.
Oh, you got something he said?
Yes. He actually, when he died, he ended one of Europe's longest dictatorships from 1939 to 1975. So his deathbed quote, actually, he's talking on his deathbed with his daughter back and forth, his last words. And he says to his daughter, "What is the noise?" His daughter says, "It's the people outside." He says, "What are they doing?" Daughter, "They've come to say goodbye." Him, "Why? Where are they going?"
No, it's you, Dad. Oh, dear. That's sad and
Where
funny
are they
at the
going?
same time.
Oh, I thought that was hilarious.
Okay. If you'd like to submit a question to Marcia or to me for us to pose to the other person, you can do so by going to our website,
theofframp.show,
and scroll down to
Contact Us.
And then you can leave your name, the question, the answer, where you got it from, and where you're listening from. We'd like to know that.
Yes, I would love to know where you're from. Okay.
That's all the trivia we have for today. I'm Bob Smith.
I'm Marcia Smith.
Join us again next time when we return with
The Off-Ramp.
The Off-Ramp is produced in association with CPL Radio Online and the Cedarbrook Public Library, Cedarburg, Wisconsin.